1. Bishop condemns anti-migrant violence in Spain's Torre Pacheco. 2. Torre Pacheco unrest. Moroccan community calls for calm amid anti-migrant clashes. 3. Torre Pacheco migrant hunt sparks fear and tensions in Spanish town. 1. Bishop condemns anti-migrant violence in Spain's Torre Pacheco. In a troubling turn of events, Torre Pacheco, a town located in Spain's southeastern Murcia region, recently experienced a surge of anti-migrant violence that has raised serious concerns about social cohesion and community safety. This unrest, primarily driven by far-right groups targeting North African youths, has prompted Bishop José Manuel Lorca Planes of Cartagena to speak out against the violence, urging for peace, understanding, and a commitment to Christian values amidst escalating tensions. The weekend's chaos was characterized by what local media described as a manhunt, specifically aimed at individuals of North African descent. This wave of violence was ignited by an incident earlier in the week, where a local pensioner was reportedly assaulted by youths identified as being of North African origin. In response to this attack, around 2,000 residents gathered for a peaceful demonstration on Friday evening, organized by the town's mayor, Pedro Angel Roca, who is affiliated with the Popular Party. However, the peaceful intentions of the rally were quickly overshadowed when far-right factions, including members of the Vox Party, infiltrated the gathering. They began to chant anti-migrant slogans, transforming what was meant to be a civic call for unity into a scene of chaos and violence. Reports indicate that migrants were pursued through the streets, subjected to stone throwing, and filmed while being threatened, disturbing footage that rapidly spread across social media platforms. Law enforcement found it challenging to manage the escalating unrest. In the wake of these events, far-right activists took to social media to amplify their inflammatory rhetoric, calling for the expulsion of North Africans and using derogatory language that incited further hostility. Despite an increased police presence, new incidents of aggression erupted in neighborhoods with significant Moroccan populations, where some residents felt compelled to respond to the provocations. Amidst this climate of tension, it is important to note that nearly one-third of Torre Pacheco's residents are of foreign origin, many of whom work as agricultural laborers, an essential workforce for the region's economy. In light of the rising social discord, local authorities and various civil society organizations have made urgent appeals for dialogue and peaceful coexistence. Mayor Roca has reiterated his calls for calm and emphasized the need for enhanced security measures. Meanwhile, Saber Yacoubi, the president of the Association of Maghrebi Workers in Spain, condemned the violent acts, labeling them as lynchings that have no place in a civilized society. Bishop José Manuel Lorca Planes has also made a poignant public statement, emphasizing that violence is never a solution and only serves to deepen fear and anxiety within the community. He commended the residents of Torre Pacheco for their historical commitment to solidarity and hospitality, particularly in their efforts to provide employment and promote integration. The bishop further praised the local parish and community for their ongoing initiatives aimed at fostering peace and reconciliation. He urged all community members to reject any form of extremism and to embody their Christian values by promoting peace, love, and forgiveness in their daily lives. This situation raises critical questions about the future of social harmony in Torre Pacheco and beyond. How can communities effectively address the root causes of such violence? What role should local leaders play in fostering dialogue and understanding? We invite you to share your thoughts and perspectives in the comments below. 2. Torre Pacheco unrest. Moroccan community calls for calm amid anti-migrant clashes. In the wake of escalating tensions, leaders from the Moroccan community in Torre Pacheco, Spain, have made a heartfelt appeal for tranquility following a series of violent confrontations that erupted between North African migrants and far-right groups. This unrest, which has been described as some of the most severe in recent memory, was ignited by an attack on a local man in his 60s, leading to a wave of protests and clashes that have left the community on edge. The situation took a turn for the worse on July 15, 2025, when demonstrators, some of whom were masked, engaged in confrontations with police, throwing fireworks and prompting a strong response from law enforcement, who utilized rubber bullets to disperse the crowds. In total, authorities have arrested at least 14 individuals in connection with the unrest, which began after the assault on the elderly man. As tensions mounted, far-right factions announced plans for anti-migrant demonstrations, prompting the deployment of over 120 civil guard officers to ensure public safety in the area. Authorities have apprehended 3 Moroccan nationals believed to be involved in the initial attack, including a 19-year-old who is suspected of being the primary assailant. Notably, none of the suspects reside in Torre Pacheco, according to a spokesperson from the regional government. In response to inflammatory social media posts that called for violence against North African residents, community leaders have urged calm and advised younger members to stay indoors. "We want peace. We don't want criminals. We don't want violence or people who come from outside to make trouble here," stated Abdel Ali, a longtime resident and informal spokesperson for the Moroccan community. The unrest has drawn the attention of Spain's top hate crimes prosecutor, Miguel Angel Aguilar, who announced that his office is investigating the events in Torre Pacheco, including the social media messages that incited violence against migrants. Additionally, regional prosecutors are scrutinizing statements made by the leader of the far-right Vox party in Murcia, who has been accused of linking immigration to criminal behavior in various public forums. In a significant move, the messaging platform Telegram has shut down a channel named Deport Them Now Spain for promoting violence, following reports of messages that included aggressive calls to attack Moroccans living in Torre Pacheco. Furthermore, police in Mataró, near Barcelona, have arrested a leader of the supremacist group Deport Them Now Europe on suspicion of inciting hatred, seizing 2 computers in the process. This situation raises critical questions about the intersection of immigration, community safety, and social cohesion in Spain. As the Moroccan community seeks to restore peace, it is essential to consider the broader implications of these events. What measures can be taken to foster understanding and prevent such violence in the future? How can communities work together to combat hate and promote inclusivity? We invite you to share your thoughts and perspectives in the comments. 3. Torre Pacheco migrant hunt sparks fear and tensions in Spanish town. A chilling wave of fear has swept through Torre Pacheco, a small town in southeastern Spain, after a disturbing hunt for migrants unfolded in its streets. The tension is so thick you can almost feel it radiating from the scorching asphalt. Broken glass from shattered bottles and car windows litters the sidewalks of San Antonio, the neighborhood that serves as the cultural and social hub for the Moroccan community in this town of about 40,000 residents. Everyone in Torre Pacheco is still talking about the violent events that erupted late one summer night. Elderly locals sit quietly, sipping coffee at the Istanbul Cafe, a well-known spot marking the entrance to the neighborhood. Meanwhile, younger residents brace themselves, fearing another violent episode like the one on the night of Saturday, July 12. On that night, dozens of large men clad in black, some with their faces covered by hoods, stormed the area. They openly described their actions as a hunt targeting North African immigrants, people who have actually been part of the community for over 30 years. The aftermath was 3 days of unrest, resulting in minor injuries and several arrests. The Civil Guard, Spain's national law enforcement agency, deployed 75 officers across the municipality, working alongside local police to patrol the streets. Despite this, a sense of unease lingers. Everyone knows trouble is brewing, the only question is when it will ignite again. A particularly haunting image circulated widely on social media. Domingo, a 60-year-old local, his face blooded and one eye swollen shut from a brutal assault the day before. A video also surfaced showing a young man with a foreign accent allegedly attacking him. While the authorities continue to investigate, the community has already passed judgment. Rumors blame a group of Moroccan youths for the attack, suggesting it was staged to gain attention on TikTok. The very next day, the city council organized a demonstration condemning the violence. But tensions were already running high. A small group of immigrant youths attended, seemingly intent on provoking the crowd. Far-right activists, who had coordinated their presence through private Telegram channels, were also there. They responded aggressively, attacking the migrant youths and attempting to lynch them. The limited police presence struggled to control the chaos. This was the spark that ignited the powder keg, but the fire was lit from outside the community. Omar, a 25-year-old who has lived in Spain for nearly his entire life, is clear about who is responsible. These far-right attackers came from outside our town to provoke us, because they know we live here. Otherwise, why would they come, he asks. Omar grew up and went to school in Torre Pacheco. He insists that those who came looking for trouble were not his former classmates or neighbors, but outsiders incited by extremist voices on social media. The call to hunt migrants, using that very word, targets a specific group, young adults born and raised in the town, children of immigrants, who have spent their entire lives in Spain. These young people, now in their 20s, often spend their days on the streets. Despite being Spanish by birth, they face marginalization on all sides. They are foreigners in their parents' homeland, and Moros a derogatory term for North Africans, on the streets here, explains Paulino Ros, a journalist and sociology professor at Spain's National University of Distance Education, UNED, in Cartagena. He also runs a blog called Islam en Murcia, focusing on the region where Torre Pacheco is located. Ros points out that many of these youths neither study nor work, they are completely neglected. They don't speak Arabic, have never visited Morocco, yet they don't feel fully accepted as Spaniards either. Fatima, a doctor in her late 20s who grew up in San Antonio but now lives elsewhere, shares her fears. She asked to keep her real name private to avoid backlash. Visiting her family in the neighborhood, she admits she forbids her teenage nephews from going outside. But one of them is almost 19. How do you tell him to stay locked up out of fear? She wonders aloud. Like Fatima, some young people from the neighborhood have managed to pursue education and build careers. But for many others, opportunities have been scarce. They've been pushed to the margins, some turning to crime as a result. This is the violence of frustrated children, Fatima says. Why don't they study or work? They are lost kids, but instead of addressing the root causes, society singles them out and persecutes them. On the other side of town, fear is also palpable among long-time residents. A family running a local bar, who have lived alongside the immigrant community for decades, describe a complex relationship. Their customers are mostly of North African descent, and they themselves shop at Moroccan stores. Yet, when it comes to the group of youths aged 16 to 20, they say things have changed. These young people seem to act as if they own the streets, they claim, and are involved in drug trafficking and display hostility. There is a general weariness about crime in Torre Pacheco. But it's important to note that the people who came looking for these youths were not locals. They were outsiders, who arrived specifically to find and confront them. And now we are the ones who will suffer the consequences, says a family member, who prefers to remain anonymous. Mayor Pedro Angel Roca, representing the Conservative People's Party, PP, echoes the community's frustration with crime. He attributes the rise in criminal activity to the town's rapid population growth, which has nearly tripled over recent decades, from 15,000 to almost 42,000 residents, largely due to immigrants drawn by agricultural work. He insists that immigrants and native Spaniards receive equal support and are well integrated. However, a city council member responsible for education admits that in secondary schools located in predominantly North African neighborhoods, dropout rates hover around 30%. Muriola Guevara, a delegate of the central government in Murcia, points fingers at the far-right party Vox, accusing them of waiting for an incident to exploit for political gain. Vox is waiting for something to happen so they can start their summer campaign, she says, condemning the party for encouraging violence. She warns that radical, xenophobic, and racist political groups, which constantly link crime to immigration, are becoming normalized and gaining institutional power. This, she argues, stokes social alarm. Torre Pacheco has always been a place of good coexistence, she emphasizes. Guevara praises the security forces for their coordinated efforts to prevent further violence. She notes that police and civil guard officers have been deployed with maximum resources and personnel, ready to act whenever necessary. Meanwhile, Alal Abu, a 55-year-old cafe owner and immigrant integration advocate, watches the situation with deep concern. His cafe, Al Karama, meaning dignity in Arabic, is a community gathering spot. Abu, who has lived in Spain for 15 years, laments the current lack of safety. It's not just Moroccans or Spaniards, there's no peace for anyone here. We all live in Torre Pacheco and breathe the same air, he says with a heavy sigh. He insists that Moroccans have never felt this unsafe before and believes that external forces are fueling the hatred spreading through the streets. As he watches patrol cars crisscross the neighborhood, he hopes desperately that no further violence will erupt. Outside, police begin to cordon off streets, preparing for whatever may come next. But here's where it gets controversial. Is the root of the problem truly the marginalized youth, or is it the external agitators exploiting social divisions for their own agendas? And what responsibility does the community, local government, and broader society bear in addressing these tensions before they spiral further out of control? What do you think? Are the young people of Torre Pacheco being unfairly targeted, or is there a deeper issue that needs urgent attention? Share your thoughts and join the conversation below.